Tonight, the latest from a bail hearing for the Saskatchewan woman accused of abducting her child and faking both of their deaths. And immunocompromised kids in Saskatoon have a new safe option for school. Plus, fashioning a career path, a Regina woman finds success with her inventive hairstyling.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It's Friday, September 2nd. CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Sam is away tonight. The Saskatoon woman accused of faking her death and abducting her child has been granted bail. The 48-year-old mother will have to pay $10,000 and follow strict bail conditions, including a curfew and electronic monitoring. CBC cannot name the woman because of a publication ban to protect the identity of the child. The woman faces parental abduction and public mischief charges here in Canada. She also faces 2 charges in the U.S. related to identity fraud for allegedly crossing the border with fake identification. The investigation continues into the suspected electrocution of a Regina resident in an outdoor hot tub. It happened at a vacation rental property in Canmore, Alberta on Monday night. The family has identified the victim as 25-year-old Keon Rohentensky, who also went by Keon James. The family says Rohentensky was moving from Regina to BC and had stopped in Canmore along the way. RCMP say the Alberta Safety Codes Authority has been called in to investigate. That could take months to complete. Parents of the children who were subjected to an exorcism at a Bible camp say police need to take the incident more seriously. Some criminal law experts agree. They spoke to CBC News as part of our continuing investigation into the Redberry Bible camp. Jason Warwick has the story.
An exorcism was conducted in July inside a cabin here with a group of boys. Several parents and one of the boys say this followed 4 days of intense indoctrination about demonic forces, as well as sleep deprivation and long days of activity in the summer heat. Parents went to police, but RCMP tell CBC no charges will be laid and the investigation is closed. Parents say that's a mistake, and criminal law experts agree.
You don't have to actually touch somebody for it to be an assault. If you cause a reasonable apprehension through gestures or threats or whatever, that is an assault. So I think that's the most likely criminal offense.
Quigley says legal responsibility extends beyond the camp leader who conducted the exorcism. Anyone who encouraged it, condoned it, or knew about it and did nothing to stop it could also be charged.
Somebody who wasn't at the scene when it happened also could be liable if they knew what was going to happen and in any way encouraged or permitted it to happen.
Another expert on exorcisms and their effects on children spoke to CBC News. He said that what happened at Redberry was likely criminal. He called it extremely abusive and cruel. He added, the young people were exposed to a range of very disturbing ideas and images, manipulated and encouraged to believe that normal, healthy experiences were opening the door to demonic forces. Redberry Bible Camp officials have refused repeated requests for interviews from CBC News. In a statement posted on their website this week, they called the exorcism a regrettable incident. They said they're sorry and are reviewing all of their policies. Jason Warwick, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan residents looking for more protection against COVID-19 will soon have another option. The province will be getting 90,000 doses of Moderna's bivalent vaccine. It targets both the original strain of the coronavirus and the Omicron variant. Health Canada has authorized this new vaccine for those 18 and older. The Saskatchewan Health Authority says it will announce delivery times and eligibility here next week. Most students in the province are back in class now, and for some in Saskatoon with health concerns, they have a new option. The CBC's Pertush Dayal tells us more.
We've not had any transmission of any illness within the school.
Catherine Stevenson is one of several parents of immunocompromised children that have started their own school. It's called ART Cooperative School, which stands for At Risk Together. Stevenson says it's Canada's first and only fully licensed childcare facility and preschool of its kind. Stevenson's son is medically fragile and often got sick at school. She says she didn't want to risk that anymore.
When COVID shut all the schools down, he stopped getting sick. And it really inspired me and some other parents to think about how to make a safer system.
At the art cooperative, the students have maintained their health. Stevenson says it's because the building uses filtration and carbon dioxide monitoring in every room to ensure ventilation. They also wear masks, get regular rapid tests, and
Super duper sanitize, rub them together.
use lots of sanitizer.
We also do a lot of programming outside. I'd say most schools aren't there.
The school's director says some of these kids have never had friends because they have spent so much of their lives in the hospital. Here, they can start to trust their bodies to stay strong.
If they have an immune compromisation that causes them some kind of physical grief, realizing that your body is still a good place to be is a tough thing for a kid.
They are also getting extra help communicating their needs.
Let's say Miss Audra, they can say that they're not feeling good, or they can say, hey, Miss Kiera, I want to go run and play with the scooter.
These families say there's a huge need for safe spaces like this within the city and that the idea can be replicated, but access is limited. A family in the north says it has resorted to homeschooling to keep their kids healthy and safe.
It's like you're learning in a fun way.
Back in Saskatoon, Gabriel Wheeler loves his new school. His 3-year-old sister Elise has underlying health conditions. The family says every time Gabriel was in preschool and came down with a cough or sniffles, Elise would be hospitalized.
I would like to see regular schools think about accommodations for kids who have underlying health conditions. So I would like to see an investment in ventilation, proper ventilation.
Stevenson says she shares those concerns and says ART's eventual vision is to set up an entire school. Pratyush Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The Saskatchewan Health Authority will officially take over 5 special care homes operated by Extendicare. Last fall, the Saskatchewan government announced it was ending its relationship with the for-profit care home operator. Extendicare's Parkside facility was the site of a major COVID-19 outbreak in 2020. It led to the deaths of 39 residents. The SHA is set to take over early next month. The agreement is not quite finalized, so we don't know much about the takeover's cost or its impact on jobs. Throughout the pandemic, people have relied on holding meetings and taking appointments online. That includes healthcare providers who have been seeing their patients virtually. Experts say that practice will continue in the coming years, and it could help alleviate our overburdened healthcare systems. CBC's John Hernandez brings us this story.
It was like I was on a ship, and when I looked around, my crewmates were all called death.
It was news Victoria's Matt Varley never wanted to hear. He was diagnosed with lung cancer in December 2020.
I decided to jump that ship and get on a ship of support.
The husband and father faced chemotherapy head on. During his treatment, he was offered an at-home health monitoring kit, which measured his vitals and were reported to nurses remotely.
There was a tablet. They gave me a little contraption that I'd stick on the end of my finger, and it would tell my pulse and my oxygen level.
Varley is one of about 20,000 British Columbians who have received remote health monitoring over the past 2 years, compared to just a few hundred annually pre-pandemic. He says it gave him a sense of agency and comfort.
Being given a bit of information about your vitals, I did think that, hey, I'm having a look and I'm seeing that my health is as good as it can be.
The pandemic-induced movement towards digital health seemingly here to stay. And while the technology can help people in remote areas, reduce travel, and ultimately open up hospital beds, health experts say it should be viewed as a supplement to in-person care, not a replacement.
We want to then take the best of what we've learned in the past few years and merge it with what we were doing before.
The remote monitoring, I do believe, alleviated a lot of the taxing requirements of our medical system.
A treatment option that might not work for everyone, but can be just what the doctor ordered for the right patient. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Kickoff to the 57th annual Labor Day Classic is now less than 48 hours away. A rarity with this year's game. With a victory, one team can secure a playoff spot. The two-time defending Grey Cup champion Bombers will come to Saskatchewan with a 10-1 record. A win at Mosaic Stadium on Sunday will guarantee Winnipeg a place in the postseason. Quarterback Zach Caleros is on pace for another Most Outstanding Player award as he looks for a second straight Labor Day win against his former team.
Experience for one, and I think he has really good vision. You know, I've always said that I think his ability to know when to get out and his ability to know who to go to. You know, we know what he wants to do. You know, he wants to get them deep routes, and he's smart. You know, I think he can read the defense really well. So, I mean, I think he's probably the best overall quarterback in the CFL right now.
It's a shock the world mentality for us. Everybody's kind of counting us out, but last week was big for just our motivation, confidence, and just getting back to where we're at. We got some reinforcements this week and last week, and so we're feeling a little bit healthier. But going against the defending Grey Cup champs, that's a good measuring stick for us. So we want to go out there and play our best football and have a chance to win in the fourth quarter.
It's the start of a tough month for the 6-5 Riders looking to keep pace in the West. They will face the Bombers 3 times in the next 4 weeks, including the Banjo Bowl next Saturday in Winnipeg. Kickoff on Sunday is 4 o'clock. The road to the Hardy Cup begins tonight. Both Saskatchewan teams kick off the Canada West football season on the road. The Regina Rams are in Winnipeg to face the Manitoba Bisons, while the University of Saskatchewan Huskies head to Calgary to play the Dinos. The Huskies were just 7 points away from winning the Vanier Cup last season. It is a veteran team that is returning to the field with the tools to get to the national stage.
You know, we were close, but close will kill you. It's a new team. It's a new year. Yeah, it definitely gives you a little bit of motivation and some fire, but ultimately we're just going to take it game by game, day by day, and get better, work our way back to that destination and finish the job, and that's ultimately our goal.
Our special teams are really good. Our offense will still be good. We still have Mason Nias directing the pack back there, and then as well as our defense. I think we just have young guys coming up. They'll be stepping up, doing their thing.
The Rams will have a tough test tonight against the Bisons. Noah Peltier will make his first Canada West start as quarterback. He will try to lead the Rams to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. Both the Rams and Huskies play their home openers next Friday night. You could call it a Tim Hortons ride-through. Riders from the Gallagher Centre in Yorkton took a coffee break on horseback earlier this week. The riders got iced coffees and plenty of smiles from the staff. I wonder what a horse's go-to Timmy order is. We'll be back after the break. California's Death Valley could see its hottest September on record.
I wish it were cooler already. This is abnormally hot for September.
The temperature is already hitting above 50 degrees. The entire state and a big part of the western United States is dealing with a sweltering heat wave. California remains under a state of emergency because of the extreme conditions.
This weather update is brought to you by Capital Ford Lincoln, making back to busy easy.
Weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now. I hear more hot weather is on its way for us too, but please tell me it won't be Death Valley hot.
No, that's right, Natasha. Thankfully, not getting quite that warm. That heat that's there right now is going to work our way, though, and they're seeing temperature records down there, and we saw some yesterday. These are temperature records for Rock Glen, which you can see hit over 5 degrees above its record yesterday. Watrous and Wynyard about 3 degrees above the old records there. Broadview and Regina breaking some pretty old records. In Regina, this 35.6 degrees made it our hottest day of 2022 yesterday. Hard to believe that we hit that in the month of September. And September has started off hot. August has also been hot as well. This is a look at how far off the normal locations across Saskatchewan saw temperatures this past month in August. The temperature on the left is what we saw this past month, and the one on the right is the 30-year average. And most of us sitting about 1 to 2 degrees above there. In fact, all stations that Environment Canada monitors across the province saw that this August was in the top 20 warmest Augusts on record. Now, in terms of rainfall, always a little bit of a hit and miss game here, and especially In southwestern Saskatchewan, we saw some very dry conditions where we're seeing grasshoppers and not a lot of yield in store for you folks in the fields. Only 16% of normal precipitation. Regina, North Battleford getting about half. But Yorkton and La Ronge, you saw the benefit of a little bit of rain, although for some of you, especially in the southeast, that rain was not really welcome, but getting well over 100% of normal. And for places like La Ronge and Buffalo Narrows and La Loche, there is now a heat warning in effect with temperatures getting into the low to mid 30s over the weekend, and we could see some overnight lows around 15 degrees or so. But for today, it's actually quite seasonal across the province, and especially as we head into south and central Saskatchewan, we're looking at highs closer to where they should be this time of year, into the low to mid 20s. Yorkton, Wynyard, Hudson Bay, dare I say that it's a little bit chilly in your neck of the woods this afternoon and this evening. Now, not a lot going to be happening on our systems map as this next high pressure system moves in. In fact, we'll just put it in motion, and you can see nothing over the next few days. There are some systems to our west and to our east, but we are under the influence of high pressure, and it will stay that way into next week. Now, that increases our fire risk. So if you are having some last holiday of the summer fires out where you are this weekend, keep in mind extreme risk through much of south and central Saskatchewan, even the north, seeing some very high risk for fires. And keep in mind, wind may not be in your favor either. Gusts between 40 and 50 tomorrow. As we head into Sunday and Monday, we will see those continue to pick up, even though we are seeing high pressure. But those should start to die down as we head into next week, but not for too long, because as you'll see here in our extended forecast in Regina, those will return as we head back into the end of next week as we get a cool down. And for Saskatoon, a very hot next few days here. Sunny conditions, mid 30s. But Natasha, finally, as we get to the end of next week, it looks like we are going to see some more normal temperatures.
Well, that's a relief. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
You could say this annual festival in El Salvador is on fire. Participants lobbed 3,000 cloth balls soaked in gasoline at each other, along with musical accompaniment. The Fireball Festival is a century-old annual celebration whose origins are unclear. Remarkably, there were no reports of serious injuries. We'll be back after the break. As students head back to school, they might be pondering future career paths. One Regina woman says following her passion despite detractors has led to a rewarding career and fun opportunities. Aside from giving her clients a confidence boost, Roslyn Hodson just found out she'll be heading to New York Fashion Week on Monday. Here's more from Hodson about her chosen path.
I'm a hairstylist by trade, but then I work with hair as an art form. So that's how I consider myself an artist, by doing hair. I honestly love the big hair pieces, the extravagant looks, and outside the box. Like when you're behind the chair, you don't do that kind of thing. It's not something you'd wear on the street. The little horns here are kind of molded from pieces of styrofoamy kind of flexible paper. And I started doing my friend's hair and my family's hair while I was in high school. I went into hair school and I completely excelled at it. I was not the best high school student, but in hair school I really excelled and really just decided that this was what I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and it just felt natural. I just love everything about hair. So I love when people come into my chair and they leave with even bigger smiles on their faces. Yeah, so I just really like making those relationships with everybody and just making people feel good about their hair, because it's a very powerful tool that everybody has. One of the greatest things is when I do start doing clients' hair when they're really little, and then I get to see them through their different stages of life, like a grade 8 grad or a grade 12 grad. And I've had clients before that I've been doing for years that are getting married now.
She just asked me one day, she just needed a girl for a shoot, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you with anything. I love her, she's my queen. And that's just kind of how it started, and then we just kept doing it together. It's really fun. She's always been a part of my life, whether it be her coming to do my hair or my mom's hair, or her coming to get nails done by my mom. She's just always been there.
have one little girl, she's gonna be 5 next month. I want her to know that you can do whatever you want in your life and you can be successful at it as long as you put your mind to it. I was told as a young teenager that doing hair, you never really do anything with your life and you never really get anywhere. And I feel like I've been proving those people wrong the whole time, which is great. So I just want my daughter to know that whatever she chooses to do in the future, she can be successful and she can do whatever she puts her mind to. I hope that my impact on my clients' lives is just so that they know that they have someone to come to if they need a boost or if they have to tell somebody something. Like, unfortunately, like tragic news or good news, a lot of times I find out before family does.
She is so helpful and she is so reliable and kind, and like I just love her. She helps me with everything that she can.
You don't just have to be behind the chair for the rest of your life. You have more opportunities to grow and really dabble in every kind of different kind of hair that there is out there. And then I would just be like, if you were in hair school and you need a job, come see me and I'll show you the way. So. But I just want to compete more, and eventually when I can't be behind the chair, I do want to teach. I want to help the youth and the next upcoming hairstylists see the potentials in themselves and become great.
That video was produced by Regina filmmaker Jasmine Peltier in collaboration with CBC's Creator Network. For more information about how you can get involved, go to cbc.ca/creatornetworksk. Ethan is back with one last look at the weather as we head into the long weekend.
Yes, and it'll be a very hot long weekend, Natasha. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. in Regina, we're looking at 16 degrees already. Southeast winds starting to pick up. And then as we get to the noon hour, we will see those increase to around 40 kilometers an hour, almost at 30 degrees by that point. In Saskatoon, similar conditions will be close to 20 degrees. South winds close to 30 kilometers an hour. Sun, and more heat in Saskatoon. We get to the noon hour feeling just a bit over 28 with the humidex and those south winds picking up. Now, if you're heading to the Labor Day Classic in Regina on Sunday, we are looking at some very hot conditions. No surprise there. Mainly sunny, 31 degrees. Southeast winds just gusty enough to keep you a little bit cool, but it will be hot, especially if you're on that sunny side of the stadium, Natasha.
Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Thousands of people showed up for an event in Spain earlier this week, and it got a little messy, to say the least. About 130,000 tons of overripe tomatoes were brought in for the famous tomatina food fight. The fruit didn't meet the standards for human consumption, so instead, about 20,000 people volunteered to get covered in tomato pulp. The event lasted about an hour, and the cleanup, well, a lot longer than that. The festival is back for the first time since COVID-19 restrictions put it on hiatus 2 years ago. Well, that's it for us tonight. For news anytime, head to cbc.ca/Sask. You can also subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel. Glenn Reed will be back at 11. Thanks for watching.